Looks like we're live.
Okay, hello.
A little pre-show here.
What does finish mean?
Oh.
No, I don't want to end the broadcast. Damn it.
Cancel.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it appears we're live. Levi, is there anybody you would like to text to let them know that we're live? I told LT I was going to text them, and then I forgot that we were using my phone for the video.
No, they'll have to follow us to get those updates. I'm sure some people do. I know some people do.
All right, Levi's going to lead us in because I'm going to go get my iPad so I can text a couple people.
All dozen of them. We'll wait to actually start the recording for a second.
We're already recording.
Blah, blah, blah. I mean, for the podcast episode, not the live stream. Jesus Christ. See what I have to deal with? Okay, so I have things to talk about always, of course. Recently, I've dived deep into some J-horror, Japanese horror. And there's a couple of films I've watched recently that I absolutely adored. And those are called Kuroneko.
I'm skinny.
Demons, Kwaidan, and Anibaba. You should look those up if you have time. Anibaba and Kuroneko, those are like two of the best films I've watched in a long, long time. So go ahead and check those out. If you can, follow me on Letterboxd at Levi Horn, all one word, spelt with an E on the end. Jonathan's going to text his friends now.
I just want to let a handful of people know that we're live streaming. We're live streaming, bro.
Exciting video.
We're up.
Oh, what movie is that? Oh, never mind. So yeah, Kuroneko came out in 1968, directed by Shindo. It's the same guy who directed Anibaba. Anibaba came out. Let's see. I think it was right before that. Yeah, 1964. So 4 years before Kuroneko. Kuroneko in Japan means black cat. Anibaba in Japanese means demon woman.
Wait a second. How do I send a link to our live stream?
Yeah, well, you're just going to have to tell them to go to our YouTube.
I'm a programmer. I do this all day. No, not this, but you know.
Yeah. You're just going to have to...
I do things that are supposed to be more complicated. It turns out that consumer software is actually the most complicated, horrible, non-working thing in the history of software. But that's fine. It's fine. I love it.
This won't be on the podcast episode.
Oh yeah. All of it.
No, it's not.
Delete nothing.
Yeah, I'll delete everything. This is terrible listening. Sorry for the viewers. Do we have any viewers right now? Looks like we have zero.
I don't think we have at the moment.
But people won't be watching. I just gave away. We have 0 listeners at the moment, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And watch this on our YouTube account.
We promise we're better at this than it might seem.
Oh yeah, we're super professional.
Kinda.
Like canceling.
Let's make sure. Okay.
No. Want to be
no
on this episode of our podcast.
I'm not sure this is working.
What do you think?
Okay.
Recording?
Oh no, it's recording as the MacBook microphone.
Oh fuck.
Which was making me think that our settings are not right, but I'm gonna fix them.
Okay. Little how the sausage is made. This is why some podcasts have a whole
team. So the audio isn't. The audio is this, which is right here. Mm-hmm. So we got audio right there, and it's from our.
Yeah, our mics feed into that thing, so
yeah.
It should be through our mics. How did you do it last time?
This is what I did last time.
I really thought you were going to do the thing where we had it all set up and we weren't going to touch it.
See, now that's just making me feel bad about myself.
I thought we were going to do that thing.
Okay, well, you put... No. It's not working. Hang on. That's why they have staffs, Levi. Huge staffs.
It's cool that we can't edit this either because it's live and it's gonna stay on our YouTube page forever.
Yeah, because that's just how it works.
You just plug it in and unplug it.
Oh no, I turned the USB plug over and now it's working.
Oh, okay.
Cause fuck you, Levi. fuck you. You know,
You
fuck
should
me.
have known. You should have known.
Fuck everybody who's
should've
ever
known the
tried to
USB.
make anything.
You should have known the
It's like,
USB
you should have
switch.
known. Yeah, no, you should have known that you had to turn this piece of shit over.
The switch.
It's USB-C. It's a 20-year-old technology.
You
I'm
should
fine.
Plug it in. Oh, that's great. Damn it. Did your family hear that? I think they did. All right. Well, you got to see that. That's how the sausage is made.
Oh, I can copy the video, Earl, for our streaming.
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna send it. Hey,
Now-
LT, I'm sending it to you.
There we go. Send it out to all of our boys. and our our ladies.
I'm sending this out to my brother. Please join.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, yeah. Knowing how the sausage is made again. That I keep saying that. Eventually, I'll stop saying that.
I'm gonna send it to. Send it to my wife.
No, don't. Why are we wasting time with that?
We're not wasting anything.
Yeah, we are.
That was
wasting-
hurtful.
Well, we're wasting time.
I told John I'd tell him.
Okay.
I'm just telling John. I'm telling people.
Okay.
Do you think? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna send the Twitch stream too. It's fine.
You're gonna send them the Twitch stream as well as the YouTube stream. Why?
Yeah. Well, because people have preferences. Sometimes people are like, you know how it is. They're like, it's for whatever reason, I'd rather join the Twitch or I'd rather join the YouTube.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm letting some people know.
No, this is really, really good for the video. Really good.
Well, no one's watching, so it turns out.
Well, they can watch later because it stays on our profile.
All right, so some of our friends they've liked the messages that I've sent them. I mean, they gave it a thumbs up. Do you think that means they'll join?
Do you think she's going to call back?
Do you think
do you
Maisie
think
would
she'll call me
join?
back? Do you think she'll call me back, Jonathan?
I just want to see if Macy's...
Like, seriously, though, you know I'm on a time constraint, and part of me thinks you're, like, doing this on purpose because you want to see me get flustered. I don't know.
Are you... Okay. Mm-hmm. Are you implying that I take some degree of pleasure in you being uncomfortable?
Yeah, I knew
I mean,
that.
Levi, we're not in bed together.
I knew that already. I think our listeners know that, too. It's obvious.
You're probably right.
It's cute, though.
Hey, look, man, this thing says we have 2 people watching.
Well, that's good. One day we'll get up to more. Hopefully.
And I just want to say, Mom, thank you.
Yeah, we are on a live stream right now. We're on we're live
Look,
on YouTube
the camera's
and
right there.
Twitch.
Let's just both give it a look. So, Mom,
Yeah,
thank you.
Mom's proud. Yeah, that's both our moms. Probably.
loves us.
Yeah. So yeah, we are live on YouTube and Twitch, like I just said.
Why is
So
your
we're trying
jawline so
that.
much thinner than mine? Don't answer that.
So we're trying that. Jonathan does not like to look at himself. I don't really either. We could just turn the monitor
It's
away.
not that I have no jaw.
It's distracting you. It's distracting you. I see that. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
It's becoming difficult to breathe or maintain
Quit
consciousness.
that. Quit that.
Isn't this is a sex thing people are into, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, join our patreon.com/welladjusted if you want to watch our live streams, or you can just know to get on YouTube when Jonathan texts you and you'll be able to see our live stream. Today we're covering a special movie.
So it
Well,
sounds
it's a
like
holiday movie. That's why I'm saying
I
it's
don't think
special.
you're allowed to use that tone of voice unless you're talking about unless you're introducing an event at the Special Olympics.
Okay. Okay. So we both admittedly were looking forward to this, just like we were last Voyage of the Demeter. Jonathan and I actually went to the theaters.
We went to the theater together.
Again.
We went to the theater together, and that's look.
This is the third time in like 3 months we've done that, so it's not that special
You
anymore.
have a full-time job.
Yeah.
You have what should be a full-time career making movies.
Nah.
You have at least a part-time gig doing some of the most beautiful paintings and evocative horror paintings that I've ever seen in my life.
Evocative.
You know, people just saw that face that you made, and we did not appreciate it.
Oh, stop. Oh God.
I understand that you're uncomfortable with compliments, and that, you know what, Levi, that's just fine.
Yeah, I am uncomfortable.
But there's no reason that your insecurities should stop people from seeing your paintings.
Right. Thank you. So what we're here to discuss tonight, is a movie like maybe the last movie we went and saw in theaters. We had high hopes for, but it seemed to kind of not really live up to those. That's fine. But we watched this the night before last on November 19th, but this episode will actually be coming out on podcast form after the holiday because we wanted to give some people time to see it over the holiday weekend. This film, Thanksgiving, is directed by Eli Roth. Give me a second, Jonathan. I will get into Eli Roth, but it is. It is.
I'm gonna talk to the people. You go ahead.
Okay,
you go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna chat. You're gonna live chat with him. So it's starring Nell Verlacki, I'm gonna say. Patrick Dempsey and Jalen Thomas Brooks as our young Jon Snow.
So wait a second. Patrick Dempsey is the
young. Yeah,
he's McDreamy
he's the from
Grey's Anatomy. He's McDreamy from Grey's Anatomy.
Exactly.
Okay, I got to ask a question.
Yeah.
How badly can you have possibly misappropriated, misadministered that Grey's Anatomy money that you need to be in this movie, which has abso-fucking-lutely nothing to recommend it?
Well, I'm sure it got pretty decent box office numbers, and he got paid. Did you see?
Well, he got paid. Let's be clear.
You see
He
the
got
producers
paid.
on this?
He got paid before the box office numbers were.
Did you see the studios involved
ever.
with this?
Yeah. No, I did.
He got
and
paid.
That's why it's so disappointing that it's so terrible. This is a terrible movie. This has no charm. It's not one of those horror movies that you watch and after you're like, yeah, it was silly, but I had a good time. No.
I told him to wait.
It's the most dreadfully bullshit, boring, morally, stylistically, what am I reaching for here? Aesthetically bankrupt, giant piece of money grubbing shit from somebody who should have known better. Because Eli Roth is a student of the genre. Whatever else you want to say about Eli Roth, he's a student of the genre. He loves the genre. If you listen to him talk about horror movies, like, he gets it. Which is why it is so paradoxical, difficult to understand, heartbreaking that when he goes to make a movie, it's this. It's the dumbest, lowest rent, least interesting, most predictable, I know what you did last Thanksgiving, 90s horse shit that you've ever seen in your life. Unless Levi would like to add something.
I mean, I was going to say, do you want to just end the episode right there? Because
No,
that's
I
all
don't
you're
wanna-
going to say. Like,
I don't want to
that's
end
all
the
you're going to
but-
keep
but-
doing.
no, but
That's
this-
all you're going to keep doing.
Oh, no, but we're going to plumb the depths of why I'm right.
Okay.
You're going to have things to say, but we're going to plumb the
course I
depths of
am.
why
Yeah.
I'm right, because this was excrement. This was a complete and total waste of every dollar, every second of talent. The amount of money and goodwill and talented people you had to have to make this enormous, useless piece of shit could have gone to making a horror movie that people would watch and enjoy. But instead, you did this.
Jeez, tell us how you really feel, Jonathan.
Go ahead.
So it's also starring Jalen Thomas Brooks, who plays the boyfriend and looks like a Dollar General young Jon Snow. So yeah, let's talk about Eli Roth
Who
for a
looks like
second.
a young Jon Snow?
The boyfriend that disappeared for a whole year.
Oh, Christ, which one? Every character in this movie is completely fucking interchangeable. You know what I don't get about 90s themed horror movies is that they're all so particular about how the teen heroes and heroines look, but none of them ever get naked, so who gives a shit? You could have the least attractive people on planet fucking Earth. Why do they need to look like they stepped out of like a 90s teen mag? They don't do anything.
Well, I mean, they do something. They get killed, which serves the purpose of the film.
Yeah, they get killed while boring the ever-loving shit out of everyone who's watching them. I have to ask you this, Levi. I know we wanted to watch this because it was date night for you and me. You know how it is? It's like, I don't want
We might be breaking up, Jonathan.
to not like the movie when you and me go to the movie. You know how it is?
I know we both want to.
like-
we both want to hop out of there
We're gonna
happy and
leave the
excited to
theater.
talk about it. And
Maybe we got a little buzz from the theater booze. and
no,
it's
I don't
like-
drink when I watch movies.
And I was like, maybe something.
I'll tell you one thing, audience.
Maybe something will happen in
Every
the car.
time-
if
every time-
if we're both feeling it, I don't know.
Every time I see this movie, I will only smell vodka because this man drank the worst lemon drop martinis I've ever seen made. They were straight vodka. They were straight vodka and Sprite with a
Well,
lemon wedge. Like that's not a fucking lemon
I
drop.
did not make those drinks.
I know that's
And
what I'm
I
saying.
only had 1.5.
But dude,
in my defense, no. Look. I just discovered when we went to the Demeter. What was that? 8 months ago?
that was August.
That was the first time I'd ever had booze at a theater.
So August was not 8 months ago, but that was the first time you've ever had booze at a theater.
It was just a minute ago, and I'd never had booze at a theater, and I was like, "This is amazing," because when we did that, yes, it's expensive, but they were pretty good. You saw them,
Yeah.
They were legitimate. Like it was.
Yeah, they had the whole sugared rim and everything.
They had a real bartender, and you know she was doing her best despite the fact that she was working in the theater. But
This person was mad
the lady knew her trade.
and upset that she had to be there making cocktails and did not know how to actually make cocktails. Probably
all-
because someone didn't show up to work.
No. This person had never made a drink in their life.
Yeah, no, it was obvious. They're not a bartender.
No, and I was watching them do it. I was like, I would like one of these fine lemon drop martinis. They're stupid expensive, but I'm in a theater. Everything's stupid expensive. I'm with my boyfriend. Who knows what'll happen later? I was going to get a little buzz. No. And I said, I would like a lemon drop martini. And then I watched this person pour that much vodka
Yeah, it's a fucking lot.
into a plastic cup, and then put then she opened a Sprite and sort of sprinkled that in there, and then she pushed it across the counter with this look of like. It wasn't a look
that
of
right?
like. Yeah, it wasn't a look of like.
Yeah.
Please enjoy this delicious cocktail. It was like,
Did I do that right? Yeah.
are you going to ask for your money back?
No. My thing is we were going to miss the previews if we waited any longer for this person to make a
I don't
cocktail.
know if you guys have ever gone to the movies with somebody who's particular about the previews.
I am very particular.
But you know how they are. I
wanna see
mean,
'em.
the people who are particular about the previews,
I'll get my money's worth.
there's no arguing with them. You got to get them in there before the previews start.
No.
And I get that. Whatever he puts out when we're done, and it's fine.
I bought the popcorn, which you didn't have any of. That's fine.
Oh, dude, that was for your benefit.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad I did.
I'm 45.
Get your grubby
If I
hands
eat
all
movie
in there.
popcorn.
Jesus Christ. All right, so we're gonna spout off. I'm gonna spout off a couple of facts about Eli Roth without you. I want you to not say anything and wait till the end. I know this is gonna be hard for you because there's gonna be some shit, and this is a game. We're playing a game.
Okay,
Don't say
it's fine.
anything.
You're okay. While you do that,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up my notes.
Okay,
I'm gonna review my notes because
your notes.
you like to say things. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, in case the audience forgot, we are talking about Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. Okay. So Eli Roth was born in Newton, Massachusetts in 1972. His dad was a psychiatrist and a clinical professor at Harvard Medical School, and his mom was an artist. He began making films at the age of 8 and made over 100 short films with his two brothers before he graduated high school, 100 of them. Of course, he went on to study at NYU, but fell on hard times and posed as a woman on a cyber sex website and worked for Penthouse magazine to fund his projects. He was Howard Stern's assistant.
No, I'm sorry. We gotta.
Yeah, I told you couldn't say anything.
No. I'm sorry. We gotta slow down. When you say he worked for Penthouse to fund his projects,
Yeah.
What
He was like a.
does that mean?
He worked for the company. He might have been a writer. I mean, that's all. I just know he worked for Penthouse at some point.
We were talking about Penthouse. We know they don't employ writers.
Well, yeah.
Regardless of the letters to the editor section,
That's true.
which I have enjoyed many times.
I'm sure you have, Jonathan. They still make magazines, Jonathan?
They don't employ writers.
Well, I don't know. All I found on the internet was that he once worked for Penthouse. He was also Howard Stern's assistant on the set of Private Parts. He co-wrote Cabin Fever with his former college roommate in 2002.
We can talk about Cabin Fever and why it's a goddamn disaster.
He also directed it. He also directed Hostel in 2005.
Yeah, torture porn.
Hostel 2 in 2007.
He had a big hand in creating that entire genre.
The Green Inferno in
Congratulations, you sorry piece of shit.
2013. And a remake of Death Wish in 2018, which never needed to be remade anyway. So
I got some early onset Republican. You know how people get early onset dementia,
Right.
Alzheimer's? I got a little early onset Republican. I'm just saying, we needed that movie remade.
Death Wish?
Yeah, We needed that. He didn't do a great job, but we needed it remade.
Okay.
Are we going to let them just have our cities?
Oh my god. All right. So at this point, I want to throw up a big spoiler warning if you haven't seen it.
I'm
We're
just
about
here to get a
spoil
job
the
at the
shit out
Daily
of it.
Wire.
We're gonna
And
spoil the
then
shit out
they
of
give
this.
Candace Owens a job at the Daily Wire. She doesn't even like Israel. I mean, I
I don't know.
feel like I've got bona fides.
know
Go
how to
ahead.
answer
Whatever.
that.
Just
So we have in horror, we have a lot of slashers surrounding holidays. Jonathan, can you name a couple off the top of your head? I think we might have already done this for our Halloween episode, but go ahead.
I mean, there is the classic Halloween.
Yeah, that's
for
yeah,
Halloween.
yeah.
There is a Black Christmas for Christmas.
That's damn right. Love
There
that movie.
is I mean, there's like an April Fool's slasher
Yeah,
from the 80s.
yeah,
There's
there's
a
Prom Night.
There's like a Happy Birthday. There's a Prom Night.
New Year's Evil, Christmas Evil.
The 80s were fantastic for horror movies, which is one of the reasons that this horror movie is terrible, because it does not use the 80s for a model. It uses the 90s, which was a black hole of nonsense and bullshit.
Well,
for the
it
horror
was a
genre.
downtime for the horror genre. I will give you that. Is not. So, I don't know anyone whose favorite decade of horror was the 90s.
10 years. How many decent movies came out of that decade? Maybe 10? 8?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I got a list.
So I really liked the name of the killer in this, the John Carver. I really like that. John being like John Doe, the John
Mask?
Carver.
The Mask isn't scary.
The Mask is not
The
scary.
Mask is stupid.
The Mask is kind of stupid. It's like a paper plate instead of.
You're not afraid
like a
of any.
mask.
The only thing you're
Yeah.
afraid of in this movie is the amount of money you spent to see it in the fucking theater.
He's not very big either, the John Carver.
I don't need him to be
he
big.
looks-
I need the movie not to be dumb.
I mean, he just looks very. I don't know. He's not menacing enough. I don't know. It was weird. I didn't really like it. Do you think one of the reasons we didn't like it so much is the crowd we saw it with was so small and just completely unanimated? Do you think we would have liked it more if there were more people there, like causing a ruckus?
No.
Okay. Okay. At this point, I would like to give a short plot summary.
You could have filled the theater with nothing other than you and me and my favorite like 80s and 90s porn stars, and I still would have wanted to leave.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to be very clear that this movie offers absolutely nothing to anyone who has ever seen a horror movie before. This isn't a horror movie. It is at best a deranged comedy.
I would plead. I would argue that. I would argue
Go ahead.
it is a horror movie.
Jump in there.
Slasher is a subgenre of horror. So there you go. This is a slasher film.
It
There's no way
is.
around it. Splatter. It's
Can
splatter.
you make a horror movie? This is actually a real question. Mm-hmm. Can you make a horror movie if all the movie has is the style of horror and none of the substance?
It does. I mean, people would argue that it does have substance. I've seen this on people's top 10 of the year. So
I'm sorry.
yeah.
People without head injuries, people without some
I know.
obvious
I'm sure there's a lot of
cognitive
people who like it.
deficiency,
No.
people who have seen a horror movie before.
Jonathan doesn't really understand what a horror movie. He has an idea of what a horror movie is, and he thinks that you should abide by that. And if you don't, you are wrong, and that's fine.
This is not a horror movie.
That's okay.
It's not a horror movie. This is what happens when somebody who's like lodestar of the genre
I don't want you to don't
is 90s
Stop.
teeny slasher trash. And the problem with 90s teeny slasher trash as opposed to 80s teeny slasher trash is that the 90s looked at the 80s teeny slasher trash and they're like, you know what's wrong with this genre? Nudity. And if we get rid of that,
I mean, you don't need it. I think it's trashy
then
that you think you need it.
You absolutely have to have nudity in a low rent horror movie, and that there's one reason.
Why?
And it has nothing to do with titillation.
Yeah. Oh no, it doesn't. Go ahead.
It has nothing to do with titillation. It has nothing to do with like we just like boobs, although everybody does. It has nothing to do with that. You have to have nudity in a low rent horror movie because if you don't, you have nothing to balance out the death. If you don't have sex to balance out the death, in the absence of a script that understands like human motivations and emotions, if you don't have sex to balance out the death, then you don't have a horror movie, and you don't have a narrative really. What you have is a cheap, stupid comedy for the sort of emotional retards who think that watching blood spill is the same as horror. and it's not.
No, no, you didn't blow anybody's mind with that. You didn't blow anybody's
come on.
mind. You almost blew the mic out. I'll tell you that.
Your eyes lit up.
No, they didn't.
It's all
So what actually happens in this film is everyone's gathered for Thanksgiving in this really rich house, and they're going to go to a party, these teenagers, but they got to stop by their dad's super department store to get a phone. So they go there for Black Friday event, because the Black Friday event happens on Thanksgiving these days. We all know this. Don't let me forget. At the end, I'm going to end with something Black Friday related, and I think you're going to enjoy it very much.
You got an affiliate link? You gonna make us a little money?
I've got something. Hold
Okay.
on. So they go to Black Friday, and of course, all hell breaks loose, and people die badly, and then like trampled, cut with glass, all kinds of shit, ran over. So fast forward a year, and of course, this is all taking place in Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Yeah, it is.
Flash forward a year, the star pitcher, quarterback, badass guy disappeared because he broke his wrist in the riot at the department store. And then all of a sudden he shows back up.
It doesn't matter what he broke.
A year later.
You stopped caring about any of these people within 10 minutes.
Once he shows back up in town, people start dying. And they start dying in gimmicky ways.
Gimmicky, you say?
Well, it's all. I liked that. I liked that it was all kind of all the kills were almost food related, except for a couple of them. But
did anything in this movie surprise you?
yeah, there. I want to actually talk about something I think he did well.
Okay, throw it out there.
There's a point in this film where we know that something bad's about to happen, and we know that the John Carver is in the house. But our teenage girl does not, and she's putting in contacts, and she's cleaning out her ears. Now, there's a lot of focus.
It's just
on
body
the
horror. It's the cheapest, lowest rent, lowest rung.
Stop. Will you let me finish?
I don't
Will you
even
let me
have
finish?
to like reach and
Will you
hurt
let me
myself.
finish?
I'll just grab this because I'm an asshole with a little bit of
Will
a
you let
budget.
me, will you let me finish?
Yes,
Thank you. So we see the Q-tip going into the ear. We see the contact going into the eye. But guess what? None of those actually happen. It's a fucking tease, because you think, oh, here, we're going to get the Q-tip, and I winced because I thought we were going to get the Q-tip in the ear, but instead we get corn cob pieces in the ear.
Wince.
And I liked that.
I didn't wince because
I
I
winced.
don't give a shit.
See, I don't like this.
I don't care about any
Can you
of
try?
these people.
Jonathan actually didn't even finish the movie. He got up and left. So
I left when it
how
was-
much does he care
It was
about
like,
this
what was
podcast?
it, like 8
guy?
minutes left? 8 minutes, and I was like, you know what? I could sit here for the next 8 minutes, or I could go get another glass
He
of
doesn't-
vodka
he doesn't-
with no martini.
He doesn't care about the genre unless it's something he likes. Let that be a statement.
Actually, I want to
Let
clarify
that be a statement.
I don't care about. I do not give automatic credence to any entrance into the genre.
Okay.
Without evaluating it first. And this one, it just failed, and it particularly failed because we know Eli Roth knows horror movies. Mm-hmm. Like, we've heard him talk about them.
Yeah.
And this is the problem with Eli Roth. It's that when he talks about horror movies, like I don't want to call it criticism because most people don't understand the holistic meaning of that word anymore. But I mean, but when he talks about horror movies in any sort of like reviewer way as a student of the genre, he's brilliant.
Yeah. This podcast is great.
And then he makes one and it's fucking garbage.
Well,
It's the stupidest, lowest rent, least imaginative, least forward looking. There's no. Was there any point in this movie where you cared about any of these people?
no, but I would argue
And
that
if
that's
you
not the
don't-
point. I would argue that that's not the
If you
point.
don't care, how can there ever be horror? There's no horror.
This is not
It's
for
just
horror. This
silly.
is fun and jump scares and splatter. That's what this is. That's what most slashers are, Jonathan.
But it's even bad at that.
Have you seen a Friday the 13th
Of
sequel?
course, yes.
You
yes,
don't care about
yes.
any of those
but
characters.
Look,
You don't care about any of those characters.
I'm not a
Jonathan.
huge fan of the Friday the 13th sequels.
Oh, that's
But
God.
what you can say about them, some of them, the later ones, is that they understand their job.
yeah.
This didn't.
No, I would argue that it does. I think.
Do you remember that?
I think Eli
diner
Roth has
scene
seen all those
when
films.
they're all like when they're talking about like what might happen to them and how fucking.
Oh no, it
bored
was
you
terrible.
were.
It was terrible. We told you
How dreadfully
Remember you saying
bored
these,
we both
These
were?
aren't teenagers. Teenagers aren't like this anymore.
No teenagers talk like that.
It's written like a dude who was a teenager in the 90s, which this is what Eli Roth is.
No, I want to get into that because the worst thing about this movie is that it's a 90s movie.
I know you've already mentioned that.
The only thing that separates this, I mean, plot-wise, from being a straight-up 90s movies is the cell phones.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But the tone of it is a 90s movie.
Yeah.
The progression of it.
I
This is I Know What You Did Last Thanksgiving.
It is. I know what you did last
And that's
summer.
all it is.
It
And
really
the,
is.
The problem with that is that the 90s were the stupidest fucking decade for horror. I Know What You Did Last Summer was
Why are you getting so angry?
because
Why are you so angry?
if we'd have had this money in this cast,
I don't know.
we'd have made a better movie.
I don't know.
We couldn't have made a worse one. How
don't
could
know.
you make a worse movie?
Well, a lot of things happen behind the scenes that you don't have control of sometimes. And
Eli Roth's coke habit?
no, I'm talking about production companies.
What else did they
and
spend the money on?
producers and a pandemic and an writer strike and Scream 6 coming out probably as they were shooting this, realizing, oh fuck, we just did the same thing Scream 6
Okay,
did.
but you don't get points for that. Your job is to make a movie that I want to see.
I'm just saying it's difficult. It's a miracle any movie gets made, Jonathan, especially a feature length. It's a miracle.
I will grant you that, which is why that, and in general, again, like Eli Roth I know that he loves the genre, and I know that he gets it because I've heard him talk about it. What I don't understand is why his movies roll in the mud.
Well, I will say this, and let me talk for a second because I want to spoil the shit out of this ending so we can talk about that ending too. But first, I will say this: there's not one Eli Roth film that I actually like. I will come out and admit that. Now, part of me, what I'm doing tonight is I'm playing devil's advocate with you. I didn't know you were going to get this fired up, so it's easy to play devil's advocate.
I mean,
with
it's
you.
like it's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I hate
Yeah.
everything.
Oh God, so sorry. Oh man. So the end of this film. Hold on.
No, you
Hold
go.
on.
It's your turn.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
thank
It's your
you.
turn. There was
Hold
a
on.
Thanksgiving thing. I have a lot pinned. You go ahead.
So Patrick Dempsey is our police officer with a heart of gold.
McDreamy.
Where's
Meredith?
He's been helping the teenagers
Or that Asian girl.
try to discover who it is the entire time. Turns out it's him the entire time because one of the ladies that got killed in the Black Friday massacre thing or accident riot was a girl he fell in love with or was in love with, and we don't know any of that until he tells us, which I
Okay.
think is bad. I don't think that's good.
I think you're right, but I actually want to say that the beginning is the best part of the movie.
the Black Friday part.
The beginning's the best part of the. Here's the thing, so it starts with a Black Friday like trampling massacre,
Right.
which is very fun and very American.
it's
and
very Dawn of the Dead.
It's very on theme. It's
very Dawn of the Dead, it's very
on
Krampus.
theme with the whole progressive. All American traditions are terrible, so of course we have to make this horrible too.
Well, that it is
And
horrible.
it could have been fun.
It is horrible.
It could have been fun.
I will say Black Friday and the shit that
Of
goes
course,
around
Black
it is
Friday
terrible.
is terrible, and Oliver, I get what it's doing. I'm not
Thanksgiving's
even. I'm
terrible.
not saying that it's completely wrong. But if the entire movie had fit, if the entire movie had fit the tone of the opening, all over the top, balls
Yeah.
to the wall, just had Tim Dillon.
No, it was boring, dude.
Who is one of my favorite comedians. Tim Dillon's amazing. You should go listen to his podcast. But Tim Dillon's in this, like at the top. And when I saw like a professional comedian as one of those actors and the tone, I was like, this is part of the reason it made me so upset is because from the first 15 minutes, I was like, okay, we're just
Yeah.
throwing it all out there, and
Yeah.
this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And instead,
It was boring.
what you get is a really fun 10-minute opening that seems like it's going one way, and then the dumbest, most boring, least original, most derivative bullshit. I Know What You Did Last Thanksgiving, but without Jennifer Love Hewitt's cleavage. No, I'm sorry, but when you put out a low-rent horror movie,
No.
the nudity is part of what allows people to keep watching.
Yeah,
And
but
this
I would
weird
argue that you
thing-
don't need it at all.
Oh my god, of course. In a bad movie, of course you need it. And you don't need nudity in The Exorcist because The Exorcist is a great fucking movie.
Thank you.
But when you're going to make trash, for Christ's sake, give me something to look at while it bounces around so I don't have to pretend
I did
that your
say-
deranged, degenerate, backwards, second level idiocy is interesting or new.
I did say
Sorry, I didn't get any of the words I was looking for.
It's okay.
I just kept.
Words are hard
I
sometimes.
just kept filling them in.
I know that. I did say I wish this had a better ending. I did say I wish it wasn't as boring. It is fucking rather slow
The
in some
actors
parts.
look
It
bored.
drags. It's weird.
And it's like the teenagers aren't even attractive.
Right.
How do you find mid-looking teenagers for a movie these days?
Well, I would argue that they are attractive. Maybe I don't. That one dude looks like Jon Snow. Like he's attractive with the curly
Snow's not attractive.
curly black hair. Oh, dude, he looks great. All right. So I want to talk about
He doesn't
another
even
thing.
take his shirt off.
Oh God. So
What's
you
the
need male
point?
nudity
What
too?
is the
Yeah.
point? No, what is the point of having attractive, talentless actors?
Because they
If
don't think
nothing
they're
jiggles.
talentless, and I don't think Eli Roth thinks they're talentless either. Probably.
Well, that's a lot of his problem.
I want to talk about the Boston accents in this film. You come into my bar with a fucking Rangers jersey on. Fuck
just-
you, cocksucker. You cocksucker.
See, that's way better
That's
than the
what it
accents
sounds.
in
That's
the
what
movie.
it sounds
It doesn't
like.
sound
though.
like that.
It's
It
so
sounds like
it's so over
it
exaggerated.
sounds like a script consultant was like, by the way, they have a Boston accent, and then all the kids were like, sure they do. We know what we're here for.
Yeah.
Just can I just get paid?
Well, it's the same
Can I
accent.
just get paid?
It's the same accent that Eli Roth has in *Inglourious Bastards* for his character, and it's annoying. It's
deaths are
not
boring.
right. It's not.
deaths are
it's,
boring.
It's not correct. Some of the deaths are not boring.
Let me ask you this, Levi.
Yeah.
I know
I was
you
gonna
got a
ask-
thing.
yeah.
I just want, and you don't have to answer it now. You can think about it while you're going through your notes.
Yeah.
What is the difference between this movie and Ginger Dead Man, other than the fact that we laughed more during Ginger Dead Man?
It's not. I don't think it's as cringy as Ginger Dead Man. I don't think it's as trashy. Ginger Dead Man makes me sick to my stomach.
And
when I
yet,
watch
it was more fun to watch.
I don't think so.
Ginger Dead Man surprised me a couple
I'm gonna.
of times.
I'm gonna watch this in a couple of
like
Thanksgivings.
Ginger
again.
Dead Man surprised me a handful of times, and this movie did not.
Well, we don't have a lot of time left, so if you'd let me get through the actual points of this podcast, that'd be great. So let's see here.
Fine. Just go ahead. I don't
I'm
care.
sick of the internet viral commentary, or the commentary on things going viral and people watching live feeds are terrible. Like I'm sick. I'm kind of over that.
Wait, in what context? What do you mean?
Like the whole remember he kills someone on the phone and is like, you're gonna go viral, and then all the likes happened once he killed them at the dinner table.
They didn't even exploit that, really.
I mean, they kind of do with that right there.
But no, but it's like
you know?
one scene. But it's not like that's a major plot thing. The difference
but I'm
between
just tired
reality and any online. There's no message here.
Yeah, well, I know there's not. I'm just tired of that.
Like least interesting deaths that you could imagine in the stupidest.
So what was your favorite one?
Jesus.
Sorry, you have to listen to an old man complain.
I'm thinking
all-
like maybe.
and then he interrupts
No,
me.
I actually I think just the opening with people getting trampled was probably the most interesting. I mean, there was a
Yeah.
certain energy to that, you know, and you saw again at the beginning you understand. Okay, like there's a zaniness here, and we're just going to do this. And then it goes again. If you're gonna make a completely unimaginative, uninspired, useless copy,
People
of
are tired of
garbage-
hearing an old man rant, Jonathan.
if
You
you're
are
gonna-
saying the
if you're
same
gonna
things
do that,
over and
then-
over again.
Then
dude.
use the energy of the 80s model.
Oh my
he
God.
picked the 90s model, which everyone who knows anything about horror agrees is the worst model that ever existed.
I was going to go into the homages this movie paid to. I was going to go into slashers.
Who's paying
But Jonathan
attention?
just fucking ruined all of it.
Who's paying attention? by
I
the
would
time
go.
we get
I'm going
to
to either edit the fuck out of this episode, or I'm going to take it down, or we're just going to fucking stop because I'm honestly sick of it.
Okay,
like
so-
you're saying the same shit over and over again.
But what,
stop.
What's your redemption arc?
There is no fucking redemption, and that's what I was going to try to get to. But fuck that. You just want to scream into a mic for 45 fucking minutes.
Well, it's a very nice microphone.
Yeah, it is. So here, sorry, YouTube listeners, I'm going to take this off YouTube because I don't want people see me get worked up.
Oh, but-
like I'm taking it all down,
But
dude.
what's your-
but I'm
what-
going to edit the fuck out of this, so at least we get some knowledge out of this shit instead of just somebody ranting.
Okay, well, you drop the knowledge.
Okay, here's some fucking knowledge for you, horror fans, because that's what you're supposed to get out of this podcast. There are homages to Black Christmas, especially in the front, which I really enjoyed. The very first, where he's walking up to the door.
Okay.
There are homages to When a Stranger Calls, Dawn of the Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the dinner table. Stage
Yes.
Fright with the backstage stuff. Silent Night, Deadly Night with the axe and with the department store stuff. Dead and Buried with the cop being the bad guy. The Prowler and Friday the 13th Part 2, Friday the 13th Part 3, and Friday the 13th the final chapter because of a pitchfork being used. Scream 6 because the cop did it. Christmas Evil because it's a revenge on somebody dying. And of course, I Know What You Did Last Summer. That's exactly what this feels like, as I Know What You Did Last Summer. You already said that. Now, let's talk about slashers, because this is, agree or disagree, a slasher.
Of course, what else would it be?
It's a slasher, all right?
It has to be.
That's a subgenre of horror. Maybe, maybe not. It's according to Jonathan, it's not.
No, I think slashers, of course, is subgenre of horror, and there've been many fine slasher movies.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
This isn't one of them, but there have been a lot of good ones.
sorry. I'm sorry I got worked up, dude. I just was like, we have notes. Oh, fuck. So the slasher genre, the slasher subgenre is very formulaic. There are well-known tropes, and the audience should
Word.
be aware, right? But they can be inventive. They can get inventive.
Of course you can.
This, there's some kills that are kind of inventive in this one.
They're
The salting and buttering of someone's body in order to put them in the oven and then dress them like a turkey, I thought was very inventive. And I thought my favorite death was when someone gets impaled by the stern of a ship and his kids are sitting right next to him and his own blood squirts on them.
Okay.
I liked that part. That was funny, actually. It was actually a comedic moment. It was supposed to be.
There were a handful of moments that would have made me giggle
Yeah.
if the overall had understood what it was doing.
But we're talking about the kills, of course, which you could say is the money shot. We're watching for the money shot. And by the time the slashers really got into themselves, that's what people were going to the movies to see. They wanted to see the kills, their body count movies, essentially. At least the Friday the 13th were. I know that for sure. And Nightmare.
No, but they were also... Again, I keep bringing this up and trying to defend it in a way that doesn't make me sound, like a creep. But the mix of sex and death in those movies was not an accident.
Mm-hmm.
And the weird thing about the 90s, and especially onward with the neo-prudes, is that we're fine with watching someone being filleted, but if she takes her shirt off first, it's degrading. Which I think is completely misunderstands the relationship between like Eros and dread that has to work in a good horror movie. I'm not saying they all have to have it. There are plenty that don't. But a slasher needs it because a slasher has nothing else going for it.
I'm aware. Well, yeah, you're right. Okay, and I'm also aware of the misogynistic tones of slashers, phallic thing penetrating a woman, so therefore the nudity makes sense. But I still don't think you need it. And I'm not saying I actually do prefer watching kills over some like centerfold model being paid to walk across the camera. Like I find more, I find more titillation out of, watching.
We can't have both?
Well, I mean, I guess we can, but I'm admitting something here, like you said, but I guess we can, but I don't know. Sometimes I don't think it needs it. Like I didn't think this needed it. And I know your argument is that it does.
A great movie does. Look, a great horror movie doesn't. Silence of the Lambs does not need Clarice Starling to get naked.
Yeah, right.
This is not a great horror movie. Slashers in general are almost never great horror movies, just because they're just too simplistic. But what I'm saying is if it's just like how grisly and new can we make the murder scenes with nothing else?
Yeah,
that gets really tedious. And not only does it get really tedious, but it's like that's really hard to make inventive every time. And even somebody like Eli Roth, with his knowledge of the genre, it doesn't carry.
Yeah.
Like the deaths, however inventive they are, they're not inventive enough. Because we've just reached a point. We've reached a point, not just in special effects and not just in terms of like what the audience will put up with, but in like a holistic sense. We know what you can do to disgust or... What's another word other than disgust? We know what you can do to disgust and or
repulse.
Titillate or repulse. Like we know what you can do with special effects and all that kind of stuff.
Tom Savini.
But it doesn't land. And it doesn't land because there's none of these characters aren't built up in any way that we care about. The few scenes before everything gets rolling in which like we're supposed to care about the dialogue they're terrible.
Well,
to
it's
watch.
already about rich people.
They're so horribly, dreadfully boring. You're looking at like some plastic teenagers, and why would we ever give a shit about them?
The dad is essentially CEO of Walmart. So we already don't care.
No, but see,
we
it's
already
a standalone Walmart, right? It's
don't
like
give a fuck.
It's
Yeah.
it's a one-off Walmart. It's not a chain.
Right. It's a one-off in Plymouth, Massachusetts. So some of early slashers, first slashers, there's a film called 13 Women, a film called And Then There Were None, of course, Psycho, Twitch of the Death Nerve, and my favorite, Black Christmas. These all predate Halloween. Halloween, though, developed the tropes, and I would argue that Friday the 13th carried on those tropes and made them, to a point where we could spoof them.
Yeah.
Crowd favorites, usually slashers are, but they're hated by the critics. That's okay with me.
Typically, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this one fails on all accounts. But sure.
It does. Characters in slashers got more bland as time went on, with more of the focus being on the killer. Do you think that's what this falls? You think that?
No, because this doesn't focus on the killer, and it tries to do away with all of the audience's natural guessing in terms of who the killer is going to be by omitting the standard horror. I don't even know if this trope is the right word.
Yeah,
but it tries to omit the standard horror trope of the killer being guessable. In any way, and it solves that by yanking the killer out of its ass.
Yeah.
In the way that, by the way, all beginning fiction writers are told not to do. Like, you don't have a Deus Ex Machina, right? Is that how you say that?
Deus Ex Machina.
Whatever. You don't do that in a way that the audience is going to notice because it's unsatisfying.
Yeah. And ultimately,
you and me were sort of like, oh, that's the killer. No, that's the killer.
Well, there are some red herrings, and honestly, the mother would have been the most interesting.
Were so many more interesting ones.
I know.
And the one that it picked is like, well, you never saw this coming because we didn't hint at it.
One fucking bit.
Because we hate this genre, and we hate everyone who's given us $15 to see this enormous piece of shit,
and then
that we vomited upon the world.
Then the killer has to tell the audience all the hints he was giving us. Like, if he has to tell us the hints he was giving us
in the least interesting, most pedantic way.
You didn't do the job. You didn't do the fucking job.
There's that mask.
Well, I will say this. So one, and this is what I was referring to originally. One of the things that people take the killer out from, like, what people take from slashers are the killers. Like, Jason has action figures. He's a character on Fortnite. There's a hotline for Freddy Krueger in the 90s, So what people are going to take from this essentially is the John Carver. There will be John Carver costumes and there will be John Carver action figures. But I don't think there should be, because
I don't think there should be either.
But they're going to do sequels.
Scary.
They're going to do sequels. It's not scary. They're going to do sequels too.
It's like the most famous scary mask in horror movies is, of course, Halloween.
Yeah.
Michael Myers, right? You're never going to top that.
It's
disconcerting. It's unnerving.
Is just as famous, but no, you're right.
But let's have Friday the 13th as a backup, right? With the hockey mask. Let's say that's number 2.
Yeah.
This is never going to be number 3.
No.
This is never going to be in the top 10.
No.
It's just dumb. It's silly.
Ghostface is number 3. Number 4 would be Hannibal Lecter's mask.
Oh yeah,
What would number 5 be? Like maybe the fucking sack over Jason's face in part 2. I don't know.
Maybe the Freddy just scarred up.
Maybe the Freddy face. Yeah. I mean that's the next one.
That's kind of specific.
It's like Chucky exactly and Freddy. Yeah. So there was a lot of imitation of previous slasher films happening during the 80s.
Yeah.
And this, obviously paid homage to a lot of them, but
focused on
the fucking 90s. These were predominantly made for teen audiences.
The 90s.
Yeah. We have the trope of yelling the final girl's name at the end of the film. Jessica! You know, like
Yeah.
what's his face screams Sydney, you
Yeah.
bitch, like
Yeah.
that trope. Yeah.
I'm sure that made Eli Roth feel better.
Okay, according to the Final Girls Film Collective, which is an actual group, Final Girl
How do I get invited?
is a term that was coined in the book Men, Women, and Chainsaws by Carol J. Clover. There is a Final Girl in this, and we knew it from the get-go. I go, Final Girl. Remember? Like it's
Well,
it's
yeah,
easy.
of course. It's the most obvious thing.
Yeah. More often than not, it is a brunette. They are usually shy, morally good person, and this is what I was talking about. They usually have a traumatic experience in the past.
Now you're singing my jam.
No. Her mother died, and
She was trampled to death.
right. No. That was her. No. That wasn't her mom.
Who was that? It was the other guy's
yeah,
wife.
girlfriend.
No,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
the manager's wife.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
It's all a bit confusing. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, her mom died and gave her this charm. Later on, in the middle of the movie, she learned that her dad made her learn how to shoot a musket. And Jonathan goes, "Well, that's not gonna fucking come back." And of course, she uses the musket at the end to shoot the John Carver,
It's
using
just-
the charm as a bullet. But yeah, that's neither here nor there.
This is actually, and look, this goes back to every time you and me watch a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
What we're really thinking is, if I'd been given this budget and this cast and these resources,
Mm-hmm.
could I have done better? Would I have done worse? Would I,
Right.
You can't help it.
right.
And all fans and nerds are like this, probably, I think. And of course, we've never actually been on the set of like a big budget movie, so we have no fucking idea what the pressures actually look like or how
Yeah.
that works or why they so often turn out terrible. Mm-hmm. But all that being said, as a caveat, my final objection to this movie is that it fundamentally misunderstands the horror of Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, no. We talked about this. If it was more Krampus-like the film, we would
horror-
have liked this a lot more.
The horror of Thanksgiving, and I think Levi will back me up on this.
yeah. Okay.
The horror of Thanksgiving is not a community event. The horror of Thanksgiving is much more intimate and personal.
It's
The
family.
horror of Thanksgiving is being locked in a fucking dining room with the worst food on planet Earth.
I love the food. I'm a sucker for it, man.
Some of the worst
get it
people
twice
on
a
planet
year.
Earth, like your extended family.
I love my
and the
family.
promise of what?
I love my
The
extended
promise of
family.
what? Listening to your uncle's fart while football plays in the fucking background.
It's all about napping. Too. You got to space those naps
The
out.
horror of American Thanksgiving is not a community event. It's a family event, and it's personal. It's you're in a locked goddamn room. Like what I want out of a Thanksgiving horror movie is I want it to feel like The Thing in terms of the isolation. There's no way out.
You can't trust anyone.
You can't leave. Like, it's Thanksgiving, bitch. You're in this house and in this dining room with this food and these people for 2 days. That's the horror of Thanksgiving.
yeah.
The horror of Thanksgiving is not like, you know what's the real problem with this movie is that Jennifer Love Hewitt isn't in it 20 years ago with her cleavage.
God damn it!
That's
Stop.
the only
You already
thing,
said that.
That's the only thing that made those I Know What You Did Last Summer movies watchable. And what I don't understand,
bad. They are bad,
I don't
dude.
understand is why anybody who had any sense of how good horror movies work would pick the 90s slasher
Yeah.
for a model instead of the 80s.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
One of the critiques of this subgenre is that it asks you to take on the point of view of the killer, where you're almost rooting for the killer.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to root for anybody in this movie. The only thing I want after watching this movie is to see Eli Roth go to rehab.
The other another critique is a lot of slasher horror doesn't exactly show women in the best light. Unless it's a final girl.
No, actually, fuck everybody who ever said that. Women in the best light. First of all, almost all slasher movies, the final girl is a word for a reason. It's that's the one who lives.
Yeah.
That's the heroine.
Yep, that's the smart
That's
one.
that's what organizes our
the
moral
survivor.
universe in a real slasher.
It shows similarities
And that's
to
important.
our rape culture here in America. Slasher also has a misogynistic label because of those things. Now, I said that because those are views. I do not necessarily agree with all of them. Now, Here's one reason why. Most men in these slasher movies are kind of fucking stupid. Like, most of them just want to fuck, and they'll get killed to, thinking they'll go to a girl's cabin in the middle of the night, even though 5 people have been murdered in the woods that night, just to get laid. And guess what? They'll get killed on the way there.
Well, yeah, but
most men in these are stupid.
You're talking about an 80s slasher.
Well,
That
I'm
does
talking
not-
about a slasher in
No,
general.
doesn't
I'm talking about
happen in this
slashers.
one. Nobody wants to get laid in this movie. Sex is never mentioned in this movie.
Well-
It's like it doesn't exist, which is why it can't be a canonical slasher. Because
Didn't
horror
I say
movies,
that on the last episode that I don't know.
horror movies have to balance sex and death.
Well, I don't think they have to.
Well, here's the thing. There's an out. Actually, you're right. No, listen to me. Here- What am I trying to say? But there's an out, right? But it only works for certain kind of plots.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's true? Like
do.
like the Thing, right?
Right.
The Thing doesn't need sex. How could you have it? It's an
No.
all male cat. No, it's
Right.
like there's no women there. It's
Right.
like I'm sure you could do it again if you wanted to imply some homoeroticism, but that's not what it's doing.
Right.
What other movies get away with having absolutely no sexual tension?
I mean,
Just horror.
well, The Witch does have a few moments of sexual tension. Now, some of it is, of course, incestual, but that's The Witch. Now, they're fucking
Shining, maybe?
Midsummer has some sex in it. Hereditary, I don't think that.
I mean, there's a marriage in The Shining, but there's
Shining-
no hint of
No,
eroticism.
no.
I mean, no.
Those people don't find pleasure from one another. I will tell you that. But
The Exorcist,
and we already mentioned that one. Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no
yeah,
eroticism at all.
yeah. Yeah.
But again, I just think with horror, and I understand this isn't a popular opinion, but it's like you've got
I know people that agree with you on this.
you've got these you have like your singular top of the mountain achievements, right? And it's like they're so well done that they're so well done on the horror aspect or however they explore the horror aspect that they don't need the sex aspect at all.
Yeah.
But that's most of the time.
Yeah.
sex,
Those are usually the films I like,
again, but that's like the height of the genre, right?
Right.
But most of the time, sex and death are holding hands
Yeah. Oh, no.
in horror movies. I mean, you can't separate them.
I mean, there's two things that our lizard brain is hardwired to do, and that is, do I want to kill this and eat it, or do I want to fuck it?
Yes,
So-
but that is actually why. That's one of my central objections to 90s horror and what came after it, because it's like the neo-prudes started there, and their thing is like, I'd much rather see somebody have their head cut off than see somebody take their shirt off. Like there's this weird
that's
puritanical...
horror. I mean, there's
this
if it's a
weird-
horror movie, people are there to see the death.
Well,
man.
sure, but
Like,
there's this weird puritanical
I'm not.
thing where
I mean, not always,
where
but-
people will claim to be more offended by seeing an actress take her shirt off than being beheaded,
yeah.
which makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Well, dude, I just don't.
Makes no sense. To me.
Okay. Well,
In terms of like what you object
devil's
to,
advocate for the sake of argument. Now, wouldn't our culture and some of our problems be a lot better if sex wasn't such a big fucking deal?
No,
I think it would.
but I don't think sex is a big deal in our culture.
It's not as big of a deal as it was in the 80s, that's for sure.
Well, no, but
or
actually-
the 70s or the 60s, the free love, and all that. But
Sure, but no, but I mean, what the whole neo-prude movement is so strange because it's like it would argue that it's
neo-prude, I've never heard that.
it would argue the neo-prudes.
Do you term that, Jonathan?
No, the neo-prudes are like, it's not offensive to spit in a girl's mouth if you mention it before you do it.
Yeah.
But if an actress takes her shirt off in a horror movie, that's demeaning. Yeah. I
feel like you're
don't
talking
follow
about
them
me.
at
I
all.
feel like you're talking about me right now.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about, look, as you have mentioned, I'm old. I've been married forever. So I'm clearly like cut off from from just any sort of like organic understanding of how that works now. All I can talk about is like what I see online.
Well,
and what I see in movies, and it makes no sense to
I'll
me.
say this: the pandemic did not help. What do you think when you hear this, and you've heard this phrase before? But this is essentially slasher films: male inadequacy, revenge, catharsis.
I think that's just as ridiculous. I think that's as misunderstood and as dumb as people who would call Hamas freedom fighters.
You You had to go there.
I think it's the same basic, like, complete, total inversion, misunderstanding of.
So you probably don't like the critique that the Joaquin Phoenix The Joker movie is a fucking terrible, stupid movie.
I haven't seen it, so I can't say.
Okay.
But
Well, I mean,
I
there's-
will never watch anything related to Batman
Oh yeah, we've talked about
until I
this.
die.
There's
I don't care what amount of money you offer me.
right. Did you hear about there's a critique that it's just white male rage, and I get that. I actually understand that critique, and that's why I don't really like that film anymore after hearing those critiques.
I don't
about
know
it.
what to do about that.
But
When they say, well, we're not going to watch it because it's just white male rage, what does that mean?
that
That all
means-
white men feel the same, that they all have the same rage, that
No, that means
that this type of
people
person isn't
shouldn't-
worth caring about? What does that mean?
It means that people shouldn't care about cis hetero white men anymore because they've had the focus for hundreds of years. And why are you so angry when you are the most privileged person on the planet? That is a good point.
So
I think that last point is a good point.
the last point of why are you angry?
Why are you so angry when you are the most
Why are
privileged
you angry
person
when
on the
you have all
planet?
these privileges and benefits?
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
I know, I agree.
But
it doesn't sit well, probably with some people, but
But I also don't think that there are that many of those people that they imagine.
yeah. I don't know. I didn't really, I wanted to bring that up with the slasher, what sort of gets talked about now. The Final Girls Film Collective actually argues that slashers are not misogynistic, but they do bring to the forefront, questions about, well, so is there such a thing as a feminist slasher?
I can see.
I would say Jason.
I can absolutely see
or not
the.
Jason. Friday
I
the
can
13th,
see the
original.
general criticism
Maybe.
in terms of like slashers. Somebody who hasn't seen a lot of slashers or haven't watched them in depth, being like these are misogynistic. But it's a total misreading because at the end of a slasher, it's never a dude standing. Ever.
Yeah,
Any
it rarely is.
ever.
It rarely is. There are some films where there's
It's
a
a
final
woman.
boy, and it's rare. It's rare enough to be pointed out on
It just doesn't happen.
on in the film community or in the horror community that this is rare.
The question of a slasher is which of the women's going to live.
Usually, yes. Not in all cases though, but usually you're absolutely.
But as a
100%
rule,
correct. Yeah.
insofar as genres have rules,
Yeah.
or subgenres have
Yeah.
rules, right? That's a rule.
It's like the Randy character in Scream. There are certain rules you must abide by in order to survive a horror movie.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like the Cousin Eddie
yeah.
in National Lampoons.
yeah. So with the new Screams coming out, Totally Killer, Terrifier, It's a Wonderful Knife, which starts streaming on Shudder December 1st, and I can't wait to watch that because it has Justin Long in it. And this, are slashers back?
They could be, and we need them, but they're not. And the reason they're not is that we are so paranoid and obsessed with power differentials that we can't have fun with a slasher anymore.
I would say there's almost nowhere to go. We're all so desensitized, I think.
Well, but I think
at least
that's-
horror fans.
No, yeah, but I think both. I think what I said and what you said are
essentially
are
yeah.
conjoined.
Yeah.
I mean,
do
I
too,
think they're different sides of the same coin,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Number one, like I was saying about this movie, like when I watched the beginning, I was like, okay,
yeah.
we're just going balls out against like capitalism and American Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
and it's just going to be fun. I mean, I'm not going to be so, but then it retreated.
Well, it should be.
It's like the
against
opening
that.
was a completely different
Yeah.
movie.
Well, once it said 1 year later, I was like, seriously, no, like because I had this feeling that it
At
was going
least
to
let
be
me
what it
see
was going to be.
Jennifer Love Hewitt's cleavage.
God damn it.
It's still insured for $4 million. Do you understand? That's how much those are worth.
Okay, so viewers of our YouTube, go back and listen to this when it's released in podcast form and take a drink every time Jonathan says Jennifer Love Hewitt's cleavage. You might be drunk.
That is the DNA and the tradition from which this movie comes. This is I Know What You Did Last Thanksgiving.
have
And I
two-
can't stop saying it because it's the stupidest way
I have three
to
things.
start a slasher movie.
I have
in
three more things.
2023.
I have
Go
three
ahead.
more things, and then we can end this amazing episode. What is your favorite slasher kill?
In any slasher movie?
Yes.
Friday the 13th Part 2.
Which one?
The one of the degenerates is riding his motorbike around the yard,
Oh yeah.
and his mom is yelling at him that she's made him stew and he needs to come in and eat it. And she's like, he's not listening because he's just going around in circles on a stupid motorbike. And then the killer decapitates him.
Lops his head off. Yeah, the arm comes into the to the shot. Yeah, it's so good.
Decapitates him while he's doing his stupid little whatever.
Are you sure that's the second one? I'm pretty sure it
two or
is.
three?
Yeah, it might be 3, but I don't know. God, we should know that.
Seen a lot of- no, but after he's killed, after he's decapitated, the mom who's making him stew, she interprets the sound of his motorbike going off as being like, he's coming in for dinner. He's like, I knew he couldn't resist my stew.
So bad. There's some terrible lines in your beloved 80s slashers, Jonathan.
There are nights when I just load up that scene and I just watch it like 5 or 6 times.
God, yes. This is why I love you and
Just for me.
simultaneously hate you at the same time.
Just for me. And again, but and for me to say that, like, obviously, I'm announcing to the world that I don't mind low rent slashers.
I know that. Yeah, I don't either. Honestly, it's not anywhere near my favorite.
I totally have fun.
subgenre.
The thing that bothers me to no end about Eli Roth is that he makes movies with a budget and a cast that belong on the A level, and they're not even B movies. They're like less than B movies. It's like
cast,
he
I
doesn't
don't-
fucking understand
I don't think
what
this
a horror movie does.
I don't think the cast was that great in this, except for Patrick Dempsey. And then once he turned
Well,
psycho,
sure
he
they have
wasn't good.
McDreamy, but there was nothing else for the rest of the cast to do other
Yeah.
than die.
Again, that might have been the point, Jonathan. But that's okay. We're not going to go back.
How
into
much do you
this.
think they had?
We're
I
not gonna
bet Tim Dillon was one of the highest paid cast members, and I love him. He's a great comedian.
Probably, yeah, probably. He's not top billed cast though. Top billed cast is who I
No,
referenced.
McDreamy.
before.
Yeah, McDreamy got the money.
So my favorite slasher kill would be in the Dario Argento film Opera, where a girl's friend.
You're calling that a slasher?
Yeah.
Fair enough. You go ahead.
I mean, it's giallo. I get that.
I didn't know we
So-
were going to elevate it to European films, but go ahead.
Well, okay, so her friend, so there's a knock on an apartment door, and this girl's friend goes up to the door and looks through the eye hole, and when she does that, you don't see anything; it's black. But then the camera goes like through the eye hole
Yeah, it does.
and shows that there's a gun on the other side, and then when he pulls the trigger, it like slow mo. I don't know how they did it. The bullet through the
First of all,
the door and then into the eye. It was so fucking. It's so good.
God
Like,
bless those Italians.
It's so good. It's one of my
That's
favorite.
like,
it is my favorite.
But Fulci.
Yeah,
Fulci's the one who does it in Zombie with the piece
Fulci,
of wood.
Fulci is eye
into the
fetish.
eye?
Fulci
Yeah,
has
yeah,
an
yeah,
eye
yeah,
fetish.
they
Yeah,
got
yeah,
an eye thing.
yeah. That's in Zombie 2. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard to watch.
Um,
I love it, but it's hard to watch.
So this is what I was excited to get to at the end. There is a website of the Black Friday death count. So you can go to I think it's called.
Oh, you mean real time, not the movie?
Yeah. I think you go to Black Friday death count dot. God, I had it. Now it's gone. Let's see. Sorry. Edit. Death.
When I make a Thanksgiving
go.
horror movie, when we make a Thanksgiving horror
Yep.
movie, the opening scene is going to be like somebody's grandma spooning green bean casserole onto a plate.
Yeah. Black.
Because that is the horror of Thanksgiving.
I like green bean casserole, but I don't like it mushy. I don't want it that sloppy.
Oh no, it's going to be sloppy, and any of
Yeah.
the things on
So
top
much
that are supposed to be
mushroom.
crunchy. What is
Yeah.
it they put on top that's supposed to be crunchy?
Onion straws.
Yeah, no, these are going to be soggy.
Oh God.
Super soggy, Levi.
Okay, it's Black Friday deathcount.com. And they have the stats. Right now, there have been 17 deaths and 125 injuries all time. It goes back to 2000. It only goes back to 2006.
People still do it though, even now.
Yeah, so that's
Black
why
Friday?
we were asking in the theater before the movie ended. Do people still do this? Like, is this still? I thought like people just order Amazon. shit
Cyber
now.
Monday.
Yeah, I thought that was a bigger deal, but no. Apparently, there's still a bunch. There was a shooting at North. I'm not going to go through this because it's pretty grim. But there was like a shooting in 2021. 2 people were killed in East Chicago in 2021 as well. We're not going to go into it, but you can look it up if you want to. But yeah, so that proves that this whole mania of Black Friday is still going on. Do you remember Black Friday when you were? Was there a Black Friday when you were a kid? Or had capitalism not created that yet?
That was before capitalism, Levi.
Okay.
And so we were all squatting outside the cave, and
Yeah.
somebody said, we should be able to trade something other than rocks.
Right.
And we were like, no.
Right.
Rocks got my granddaddy everything he ever needed in life. I don't need something other than rocks.
My formative Black Friday memory is seeing on the news the craze for the Tickle Me Elmos.
Jesus.
I might have already mentioned this on one of our episodes, but yeah,
that's rough.
that was huge. Like people were killed trying to get a fucking Tickle Me Elmo. But that's the way of consumerism.
Elmo's attractive.
He's cute. I think he's
that
cute.
little noise he makes when you get him under the ribs, that's what you want out of a girl.
Love it. Oh man. Oh, so let's see. It's about to be our favorite time of year.
No, that passed. Now it's Christmas.
Right. It's going to be the darkest time of year. That's what we call it. Yes, the darkest time of year coming. And we will be covering at least one special one that I know people have wanted us to cover for years. We will be covering finally Gremlins as one of our Christmas specials. And
Best
then,
microwave scene ever.
right. And then we're going to be doing another one. I think it's called Dead End. Was that the name of it? That takes place on Christmas Eve where the family gets trapped.
I think so. I don't recall.
I actually,
but it's on the list.
Yeah, it's on the list. We might pick something else. It's kind of up in the air for what we're going to do for our second episode. We're back to releasing 2 episodes a month, hopefully. We are this month. That's exciting. Next month, we still plan on doing 2. Also, they released the first image of Robert Eggers' Nosferatu.
You got to keep talking for 5 minutes because if I don't go to the bathroom right now,
Oh, go to the bathroom.
terrible
yeah.
things are going to happen.
Okay. Edit.
No, just run. Just run.
Oh, I got it. I'll go ahead and end the goddamn episode. Edit. Oh no, we've got to go. Dude, it's 7:20. Like I've got to go. I let Jonathan rant way too much on this episode. You saw me get excited. I got way too heated because Jonathan was actually starting to repeat himself, and that's not good television. That was not good radio or good television. Now, I will have to apologize to him profusely after the episode is done recording, and I will go ahead and apologize to you now for saying all that shit and getting riled up. I didn't really say a bunch of shit, but, I got a little flustered. And that happens when you love someone and you both love a genre just as passionately, but for 2 completely different reasons. So I'm sure you understand. I might take this down off YouTube and Twitch because I am embarrassed about it, admittedly, but it might stay up as well. Who knows? Ultimately, a lot of this episode will get edited because we want it to be a pleasant listen for people, and we're trying to get numbers. But don't let Jonathan hear me say that. So. I do have to travel in the morning. I am traveling to Hot Springs with my brother for Thanksgiving. I hope everyone else who is traveling has safe travels. It is a hell of a fucking holiday for traveling. Also, Thanksgiving, I didn't get to mention this, I don't think, on previous episode. Thanksgiving is specifically an American holiday. And the reason for that is when the Puritans came over, they were essentially Protestants and didn't, I believe that's right. They didn't follow the same traditions as English Catholicism. So they didn't celebrate Christmas because that was a Anglo-Catholic holiday. So they created their own Christmas a month earlier, which was Thanksgiving. And that's why it's strictly an American holiday. Also, for Thanksgiving, they didn't have like turkey and stuffing. They had like fish and corn and fruit. So be thankful that we have the delicious food that we have. Jonathan, you were going to say something else. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that everything you eat on Thanksgiving is terrible.
I love it.
And the reason it's terrible is because the Thanksgiving story, regardless of how true or not true it is,
I was just going over that for the audience.
Okay, yeah, because, it's not like they were ordering just anything they wanted off the menu. It was like, it's winter. So
Yeah.
here's some corn that we saved.
Yeah.
And here's this bird that we don't eat the rest of the year because it's fucking terrible. But
It's not terrible.
they don't die when it's cold, so we eat them now.
It's really good. There's a really long YouTube video on the history of Thanksgiving. You can look that up. I like to watch it almost every year around this time because I like to remind myself of the history of it, but also how kind of fucking stupid it is. But I like it and I like the food because I've always loved my family, and Thanksgiving was always a huge deal for my family. We got to see all of our aunts and uncles and cousins, and I loved that, and I loved the food because it reminded me of that, and I still do to this day. We still use the same recipes my grandmother used.
That's great.
Back when I was a kid.
No,
yeah.
that's really great. I mean, I think maybe one of the things is that
I like the parade. I like the football. I like I'm excited for Christmas right after. So.
I think one of the things is like just what your experience with your extended family was like. I think for some people
has
in
a
terms
lot
of how
to do. With,
you know, if it's like if your extended family coming over, even when you were a kid, was like fun. If that was
Yeah.
like, oh, cool,
Yeah.
we get to play. You know, we'll go do whatever while the adults do whatever. That's great. Yeah, my extended family, it was just like, who's on parole, who's a sex offender.
Yeah, sorry. That sucks.
Does the lock on my bedroom door work?
As far as I know, my family was good people.
Just a little different.
Yeah, a little different. My family was pretty good, I thought. I don't think the green bean casserole would taste
Nobody
as good
ever touched Levi's No
sitting
Place until he was a grown up.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jonathan. Damn, I'm sorry.
Are you saying that's not true?
No, that didn't happen to me. Did it happen to you?
But until you were a grown up.
Oh,
No, it didn't happen to me because
Oh.
because my parents were good people, but they were like, by the way, your extended family's coming over.
And they're terrible. That's all you have to say. You don't have to say what they did. Just say
Watch
they were
your
bad.
junk.
Yeah, yeah.
Is all I'm saying.
Oh my God. On that fucking happy note. No, let's see. We are recording this the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and Levi has to get up early to travel.
He does.
So
He's sacrificing his
Yeah.
sleep, y'all, so that he can be here with us. Hang on. Move that a little bit.
yeah, move that a little bit.
Sacrificing his sleep so he can be here with us, and we're very grateful.
So I do have to travel. So yeah, we are going to go ahead and end this, I guess. It's been a longer episode. I feel like we've been doing this for, oh God, it's like an hour and 20.
No, I wouldn't worry about it.
An
It's
hour
been
and
good.
20
It's been
minutes.
good. I just before we shut it down,
Yeah.
and we've talked about this a little bit before, but for one final question, why has there never been a great Thanksgiving horror movie? There are great Christmas horror movies. There are
there's
great
fucking awesome Christmas
Halloween horror movies. There are great prom horror movies. There are great birthday horror movies. Why has there never been a great Thanksgiving horror movie?
Because there's nothing scary about a fucking pilgrim except for their religious fanaticism.
You should tell that to the remains of the Native Americans.
Well, I mean,
If you
that's
can find one.
that's very fucking true. I don't know. That's a good. There's Thanksgiving. We haven't covered that yet. I promised we would one day, but we haven't yet. I don't know. That's a good point.
I don't know either. But it occurs to me that it's every other holiday that I can imagine has at least a decent horror movie. I mean, it might not be, it's not it might not be the greatest thing.
St. Patrick's Day's got Leprechaun. That's not that fucking great.
with
but
Jennifer Aniston.
it's still no. That movie's terrible. All of them are fucking
fantastic.
terrible. I think it's bad. I think Leprechaun's bad. But yeah. So
There's
don't
not
forget-
a lot for Christmas, but they have a
They're
couple.
so good.
They've got
I'm-
a handful.
That's one of my favorite subgenres of horror is Christmas horror.
But
Like
what-
I fucking love it. I don't know why.
What is it about Thanksgiving that makes it hard to nail down?
I don't know. The cranberry sauce. I don't fucking know, dude. Like it's just boring. There's not a lot of lore behind it like there is for Christmas and
That's a fair point.
Valentine's
That's
Day
a
and
fair
all
point.
that.
There's not
Yeah.
like
It's a rather young holiday.
insofar as Thanksgiving has lore, we don't believe it.
Yeah. No,
it's not-
we know now. Yeah,
Yeah.
we know now.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not like the Christmas story or the Easter story. Or
Well, do they still teach your children the bullshit lie?
They do.
That's terrible.
When they come home and you're like, so what did you learn about Thanksgiving? And like, wow. And they tell you the same story we heard.
Yeah, which is a lie. That's unfortunate.
It's not a reason to stop telling them exactly just because it's not true. I mean, this is school. Most things are not true.
That's very true. You learn as an adult half the shit you learned in school wasn't real,
But something
including math.
I don't have an answer for this. Why there isn't a great Thanksgiving horror movie? I don't. I
Yeah.
throw it out there, but just because there isn't one, and because that's one of the things that makes the holidays so suspicious to me.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think
so.
I'm not sure we believe the story, and even if we do,
Well, we don't believe the story of Christmas either. Well, you and I don't, but
I do. What are you talking about?
I believe in Santa. I'm talking about Santa.
you don't want to be saved from
I
all
believe
the,
Krampus.
all the sins and terrible things you've done in your life.
We're not going to go into religion.
do.
Again, this is the Thanksgiving dinner. Actually, that was the last episode.
No, but that's all fine. It's just that
Are you real? Okay.
there's something.
I don't think there is. I don't think you're fishing for something that I don't think
There's
there.
something weird about Thanksgiving.
I'm going to cut it out.
don't know what it is.
Don't forget to like, rate,
Be cutting
share,
my-
subscribe,
the
review.
wisdom I'm dropping on our
I don't think there's any wisdom to that.
Viewers,
There's just not Thanksgiving horror movies. I can't tell you why. I'm not gonna. I don't know why.
fine.
Don't forget to like,
I just make my own without you, I guess, when I get the money.
subscribe, rate, and review. You know the drill, ladies and gentlemen. This has been fun, and I hope you had a happy Turkey Day.
I can't let you go because
Yeah.
one more question. Mm-hmm. I need you to say, and I'm going to do it too. One thing that you're legitimately thankful for in this world.
The Cheryl.
Good for you, young man.
Yeah.
I am. What am I legitimately grateful for? Yes. No, I think my answer would be similar to yours, and I would just say in general, my family. Mm-hmm. Because as much as time as I spend complaining about like trying to feed them, because that takes some effort.
Yeah.
With that many children, I think I'd be a deranged beast without them.
Yeah. I agree, Jonathan. Also, I'm very thankful.
I was like, yeah,
I'm also- I'm also-
we're all really grateful for the work your family does.
Also-
you miserable piece of shit.
Very thankful for you, Jonathan. This podcast wouldn't exist without you. I'm also very thankful for horror films. I would not be able to get through my week without them. I promise you that.
I'm thankful for the fact that you were a high school athlete because
Let's not talk about that.
when you stand up the right way,
Let's not talk about that.
I see it.
I'm a sports boy. So, with that being said, I hope everyone had a happy Turkey Day, and we will see you in the darkest time of year.